Okay, so today I have the chance of being with Moses McCormick, a very well-known language learner, enthusiast, and polyglot here on YouTube. Moses McCormick has been studying I think he's studied over 50 languages so far, and he's comfortable speaking in over 12 languages. And every year Moses undertakes the study of 4 new languages, and his goal is to reach intermediate fluency in those 4 languages every year. Uh, Moses McCormick also actively tutors over the internet through his business and website, and he's actively involved in the polyglot community, and he's also an active member of YouTube. So I'm very happy to be with you today, Moses. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have an interview with you.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Sam.
So I've been a long-time follower of you, and you've been one of my very first inspirations. Actually, I've always really, appreciated your down-to-earth attitude and your really your amazing passion for languages. So I'm very curious about a lot of things. Your approach to languages, and if it's fine with you, I'd love to ask you a couple of questions.
Oh, sure.
Awesome. So let's get started. I'm basically going to start with a question that is quite broad, and it's how do you approach learning a new language? Now, I know you're a fan of the Teach Yourself series, and I was wondering, when you're undertaking the study of a new language, besides, for example, a Teach Yourself series or a self-study book, what kind of material do you approach, and I mean, basically, what do you do and what kind of advice would you give to somebody who doesn't know where to start? When it comes to learning a new language.
Basically, before I get into the language, I look for a community. Like, let's say, for example, if I wanted to learn a language like Hmong,
Mm-hmm.
I'll search around on the internet and see if I can find a community where Hmong is spoken, so I can interact with the native speakers. Once I'm able to find a community where those native speakers hang out, then I start to look for resources that I can use. Um, Unfortunately, with the language like Hmong, they don't have a teach yourself. They don't have colloquial, so I have to kind of um, work harder to come up with adequate resource to use. So what I would do is use, and you probably heard, or you heard, because I use my own technique, FLR,
Mm-hmm.
in that regard. So all I would have to do is find a native speaker to translate certain material for me, and then I use that right away. I use, if there's a phrase book which I found for Hmong, I will use that as well. Um, Also, what else? And I mean, that's pretty much it. Find the communities, get the resources, then I set a schedule. Plan a schedule on what I would do each day. Normally, I'll spend at least 4 hours a week. If possible, I'll spend more. But 4 hours a week. Wake up in the morning, listen to audio for an hour, um, and then I'll do some writing activities, creating sentences, and then go to that chat room that I found and use that with the native speakers. So I will do that on a daily basis until I've reached reached my goal in the language.
So right from the beginning, you would actively be engaged with native speakers. You would speak with them
Right,
through forums and
right,
so forth.
right. I like to do that because that's how, at least for me, that's how I'm able to retain vocabulary. When I learn something, I have to use it right away. Otherwise, it will become in the past. It will be the past state,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a bad thing. But I like to have active vocabulary, so that's my way of retaining and remembering those vocabulary.
And let's say you have access to a Teach Yourself series. Would you still go through the same process where you would get a native speaker to translate your FLR, technique, and you would still go through the same steps?
Yes, yeah. Even if there was a teacher self available, I would still use my approach because with the teacher self, there's like if I start from chapter one, there I'm not going to be able to learn certain things that I need to know at the beginning when I'm trying to converse with a native speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essential for me to have those keywords, those questions, be able to answer those questions, be able to understand the questions, answer them, etc. In order for me to have this, this conversation with a native speaker. Teach yourself is good for building more vocabulary and for listening a lot, for listening practice, reading practice. But for me, I have to learn certain things in order for me to have to initiate a conversation. And with
Right.
just teach yourself, I can't do that. It will take, like, I would have to literally jump around in the book to find those words and
Right.
phrases.
And let's say you're learning a language that has a different script from English. Would you spend a lot of time at the beginning stages learning that script, or would you just basically, uh, transliterate that script into a Roman, Romanized form in order to learn faster?
I will spend at the beginning. I will spend time writing, like, teach yourself, for example. If teach yourself has a script, I will go through the dialogues, write them out, you know, a couple times, and then I'll go to a chat room. If they have a keyboard, I will practice typing it. Like, for example, Korean. You're a learner of Korean.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started Korean, it was very slow when I was trying to type with the native speakers. But I was patient, and I just, I took that time to actually try to have this conversation with them by typing in Korean. So I found that doing it that way and writing up the dialogues helped me to learn how to read the script, quickly.
Great. And I know that I've seen some of your videos where you show your schedule for every year you're undertaking the study of new languages, usually 4.
Hmm.
And I know you have a very, very, kind of precise schedule as to how you approach the study of your languages. So my second question is, do you believe that setting goals is important in language learning? And do you believe that having a schedule, where you have to kind of reach that goal is important?
Most definitely. I feel that having a goal helps you to track your progress. Helps you, like, if you don't have a goal, it's almost like you have no direction. So if you're learning a language and you just learn all this stuff, it's like, okay, where do I stop? You have to
Right.
have some point where you feel okay, I'm getting closer to my goal, and I'm motivated. It's helping me to maintain my motivation. I'm going to keep going. So by having that goal set, it keeps you motivated because you get to see your progress and see if you're actually making good progress with that language.
So for a
So it's
person, starting the study of a new foreign language, what type of goal would you recommend them to set for themselves? Would it be like passing a certain exam, or because being fluent in the language is a very broad thing. It can
hmm
the definition of fluency can differ depending on
yeah.
the person. So what kind of goal would you say would be a good one to start with?
Well, everyone's different, so I guess I would say you have to set realistic goals that are realistic. Like, for example, if I want to reach, I'm telling myself, oh, okay, I want to learn this language, and I want to reach a native like fluency. You see, if you're living in your own country, you're learning several different languages, and you're trying to reach that goal, that's, to me, is unrealistic,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not in an environment where the language is spoken on a daily basis. So it's going to be very difficult to um, obtain such level.
Right.
Now, if you go to a country and spend time, then that's another story. So the only thing I can really say is set realistic goals.
Set
And,
realistic goals.
because if you set certain goals like that, and you begin the process and it's going slow and you're getting frustrated, then that's it. That you're going to stop learning the language. So setting realistic goals, to me, is very essential.
Great. There's also another very important aspect of language learning, which is, of course, memorizing new words. Of
Hmm.
course, without memorizing words and phrases, you just can't learn a new language. And I was wondering, how do you go about it? Do you have any techniques to do it? As you told me before, you said using the language right away helps you to remember what you just learned.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any other
Mm-hmm.
specific techniques to make it stick?
I don't. No, I don't really have anything special. The thing, I mean, everyone knows you use it. You know, you use it consistently and you retain it. And I use it a lot. When I learn something, an idiom or whatever it is, I use it right away.
So right
Like
away, and you repeat
like
it again and again.
I use it right away. I repeat it over and over and over again. That's why I like chat rooms, because you meet so many different people and you get to it's repetitive. You get to use the same material that you use with the previous native speaker you've spoken with. So that's why I like to go to chat rooms and select up to five to six people to chat with at one time and just use that stuff over and over. Once I feel that I've solidified it, then I'll use something else.
And
So
do
I
you
mean,
also
that's
use Skype
really the only thing I do.
for chatting
Oh,
with
Skype?
language learners?
I use Skype, but the thing with um, I don't use voice chat that much. Uh, I do more typing than actually voice chatting. I like. I mean, it's to me, it's not the same as speaking with someone face to face. I like to find people, in my city, who I can meet with and actually interact with the language. Unless I can't find those people, then I have no choice but to use Skype. But in general, I speak with people face to face for the voice, the oral practice.
Awesome. Next is, I mean, your motivation will always amaze me. You've been studying languages for well over a decade. You know, you're working hard every day. How do you do it? How do you keep yourself so motivated? It's really amazing. Have you ever had a time where you just, said, "Oh, I just want to give up. This is too much," or "I'm
Nah,
tired."
give up. If I don't even know what give up means, it's not even in my. uh, I see. I guess I would say it's passion. I'm very passionate for learning languages. I enjoy learning about new cultures. And it's been a life changer for me. My life has changed tremendously. Just by learning foreign language.
Right.
Okay, and everything is positive, and I keep having those different experiences, and it keeps me optimistic about I mean, any language I learn, I don't feel that I basically can see myself speaking the language and interacting with native speakers. So I don't know. I guess I would just say it's the passion that really keeps me going.
So just you're just really passionate, and I mean, is
Yeah,
it like the feeling of accomplishment that it brings you, or um,
yeah, feeling of accomplishment. Just
and getting to meet new people?
getting to meet new people, and I don't know, just learning new things. My mind opens. I learn new things I didn't know before. You know, everyone's ignorant of certain things, so I was ignorant of this and that, and then after I learned, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that, so I like that. I like when I'm able to cure my ignorance, by learning
Right.
about things I didn't know about before, and this has happened with me so many times when learning about the language and the culture. So
Great, very inspiring. All right, next question. My fifth question is, what would you say is the most important thing to have in order to be successful as a language learner? Is it having goals, having passion, hard work, innate talent? What would you say is the one thing that is the most important?
I would say, well, definitely goals and passion. Those go hand in hand. So I think if you don't have passion, it's kind of hard to set goals. It's kind of hard to, yeah, kind of, I don't know. I would say passion, because
Passion?
when you're passionate, yeah, when you have the passion, uh, you will automatically work hard. But at the same time, when you're working hard, it won't even feel like hard work for me. Like when I'm working hard at something, um, since I'm so passionate about it, it doesn't even feel like I'm working hard. It doesn't feel like hard work.
Right.
So I would say passion, definitely.
And for those out there who are trying to tackle a new language, and they just don't feel that passion, what kind of advice could you give them so that they I mean maybe they become more passionate about the language that they're learning? Is there a way you found that manages to increase your passion, to make you more passionate about what you're doing?
Um,
Because for a lot of people, learning language it's like a chore, right? So what would
yeah.
you tell those people?
Uh, well, back to what I was saying before, I think the biggest thing here is the goals, setting realistic goals.
Hmm.
So, set realistic goals, find people who are just as interested in the language as you are. Um, find positive people, optimistic people, um, and I mean, stick with it for a while and interact with native speakers because especially interacting with native speakers, that really plays a big part in this and staying motivated
So maybe the
as
human
well. So
aspect of actually getting to meet people and get to know new people and really open your mind.
right, right.
Great. Next is something that is rather controversial among language learning circles. A lot of people say you should learn a lot of grammar. A lot of people say grammar is not necessary. What's your view on grammar? What's your take on it? Do you personally, go through grammar books and so forth, or do you learn it more inductively, just through reading and speaking, and then do you just kind of assimilate the grammar?
Uh, oh, most definitely. I love grammar, and I've always said this in the past. I really do. I love to like I love to be at the point where I can break down the language. Someone asks me something and say, "Okay, well, how does this work? Like, I don't understand it," and I'm able to explain it really, really well because I have a good understanding of the grammar. However, when I'm a beginner in a language, I don't touch grammar. I just don't because I have no experience with the language. So it's like if I go straight to a grammar book, unless I'm a linguist, um, I don't see any value of getting into the grammar that's going to create frustration for me. I want to be able to just at first I learn phrases, bunch of words, use them with native speakers. Once I'm able to have a conversation, get to at least an intermediate level, at that point, then I will go back to, I should say, I'll begin using a grammar book because by that time, I will have built up a pretty good foundation. So
Right.
when I see an explanation, I say, "Oh, okay, so that's why it was constructed that way." Oh, I'm
And then
such
it
an
really
idiot.
sticks. Then you'll never forget about it.
Then you'll never forget about it. So, and, I mean, I've used this approach for a lot of languages I've learned. Just take a natural approach at first, get comfortable, learn phrases, Then later on, once you feel that you're okay, you're able to have this conversation, you're intermediate level, then why not? Go ahead and get some grammar books. But beginners, no experience, I wouldn't recommend it unless you're a linguist. And we know that a linguist is a little different. They're into the science of language. So I wouldn't really recommend getting into the grammar at a beginning stage. But uh, in general, yes, I do enjoy grammar. I love grammar.
So to sum it all up, that would be from the intermediate stages of learning a language that you would
Right,
encourage people to tackle grammar.
right.
Awesome. Okay, I think it's getting a bit lengthy here, but I'll go quickly here. The question is about plateau, my seventh question. Do you plateau often in your language studies? Does it happen often where you reach a certain level in the language and you feel you're not progressing anymore? And you're just kind of stuck in a rut? Or does it never happen to you? Because for many language learners, this is a serious problem where they feel they've reached this kind of plateau and they just can't see any progress anymore?
No, not really. And I think this for me is because I set certain goals. Again, when you set goals, and once you reach that goal, there is no plateau because you're there. Like for me, I always say once I get to an intermediate B1 or wherever, B2, that's it for me. And once I get there, then I can start learning another language. So, um, I think plateauing it's to me it sounds like what happens to someone who doesn't set a goal. They just jump right into the language and just learn. They keep learning, but they have no direction. They don't know where to stop.
Don't know where
I mean,
to
that's what it
stop,
sounds like.
or perhaps which material to deal with. Because I was speaking with Luca, and he told me that a problem might be that you're just studying the language through a single method, maybe, or a single book or something, and he encourages people in the intermediate stages to really vary the material you're working with. Is that also something?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Even myself, I don't. I've used many different resources. I don't just work primarily from, like I said, teach yourself. I would just go to colloquial, ICML. So yeah, I agree with that. I also say that that plays a part in this, this limitation you will reach.
Awesome. Okay, well, this was an amazing interview. I'm really happy to have had the chance to interview you today. My name is Sam, for those who perhaps didn't get that in the beginning, and my website is linkholic.com, and Moses' website is roadrunning
Language camp.
roadrunninglanguagecamp.com. So you're providing students with Skype lessons, right, for your FLR technique?
Right, right.
And I was wondering,
Skype, not only Skype.
are you also providing lessons in person?
Oh yeah, well, not as much lately, but in the past I had many college students. Lately, it's been through Skype mostly.
Through Skype. And I was wondering, are you ever planning to write a book about your approach to language learning?
Most definitely. Actually, I was going to. I think it was a couple years ago. I started to, but then I realized that I'm still, I'm learning all this new stuff. So it's like I don't want to be too hasty about it. I want to spend at least another year or two, learning, working on my craft, and then I'll get into writing a book. So most
Awesome.
definitely it has to happen.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be waiting for that, and I'll sure be one of the first one to purchase the book. All right, well, thanks again for the interview, Moses. It was a great pleasure.
Thanks, Sam.